Joining us now is John Eastman. Of course, John, law professor, constitutional scholar, counsel on the American Civil Rights Union previous lawsuit against Broward for failing to maintain accurate registration rolls. He joins us now to give us his sense on where things are going here and why this is so dangerous to the democratic process. John, tell us how you see this right now. We have Palm Beach County today saying they're not sure they're going to be able to make this Thursday deadline of coming up with the final vote tally, and apparently they're still trying to deal with this recount.
Well, the most troubling aspect of this is continuing to find boxes of ballots that were not part of the initial canvass. And, you know, one of the reasons the American Civil Rights Union that I represent sued Broward County is because they don't take any steps to clean their rolls and remove ineligible voters. They don't take any steps to identify non-citizens who are on the voter rolls, or felons who are on the voter rolls, or people who have died in any other part of the country. And, you know, guess what? A lot of people in Florida have residences elsewhere in the country, and they don't even bother to check the death indexes of those counties.
Well, John, I also sense here that this is an extension of deadlines until we get the vote tally we want. Instead of
right.
What is the objective vote tally here? This is an attempt, as we saw in Maricopa County, with emergency polling stations open that only one side knew about. This is, again, it's like Brexit. Like, to keep voting until we get the response we want. And that really erodes the public trust in the democratic process, at least how it plays out in some of these key states.
Well, you remember there was an Indiana House election back in the 1980s, and what they did is they got a bunch of provisional ballots and they segregated them into different piles. And then they kept opening each pile until the Democrat won, and then they said, okay, we don't need to count any more piles. They did the same thing in the Washington State governor's race.
Maria Cantwell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did the same thing with Al Franken beating Norm Coleman. I mean, this has now become part of the standard operating procedure, and it is election fraud. And anybody that says, well, there's no evidence of election fraud, we've got tons of election fraud. We've got people who are being registered to vote who are not eligible. We've got them voting. We've got them voting in two different states. Hell, we had a member of the running for Democrat House of Representatives in Maryland who was voting in two different states at the same time. You know, it's not some low-level functionary making a mistake. This is a deliberate effort to thwart the results of our elections.
Well, and when you have someone like a Brenda Snipes still in a position of power in Broward after having 8 years of Rick Scott, like, how is that possible? Doesn't it seem like there should be statewide norms for vote counting?
There should be. And, of course, the Supreme Court's 7-2 ruling in the Bush versus Gore decision, people forget it was a 7-2 ruling, said that Florida was violating equal protection by having different standards for counting ballots in different parts of the state. My former associate dean, Tim Canova, who ran against Debbie Wasserman Schultz 2 years ago, filed suit against Brenda Snipes for all of a sudden coming up with all sorts of ballots, and then he said, "Okay, I want to see the ballots as you're legally required to do," and then she destroyed them in the middle of the lawsuit. So this is a problem that's been around for a while. I don't know what Florida law is on the appointment or election of county election supervisors to know whether Governor Scott had the ability to remove her or not, but certainly something ought to be done.
Right. She should have been removed for cause. I mean, there has to have been a way to remove her, but that was just a scandal. By the way, in Palm Beach County, John, let me just get in Palm Beach County, Susan Bucher, who's the head of the election commission there, says, well, if they can't finish the recount before the deadline on Thursday, they should certify the election results. Sorry, that's Barnett. Excuse me, that's Mike Barnett from the Republican Party. She said, we're working hard to finish by the deadline, but our equipment isn't designed to meet the deadline. And we've been complaining to the state for almost 10 years that they've never extended the deadline. We're making our best effort, she said. John, got about 15 seconds to close it out.
Well, when you've got something like this, you hire some additional temporary people to come in and help you so that you meet the legal deadlines. I mean, this is a matter of law, and I keep hearing nobody's above the law. Well, certainly county election commissioners aren't above the law either.
John Eastman, we have to get you on TV this week. John, thank you so much for your input here. We really, really appreciate it. We have a lot more to get to on your healthy radio addiction. 855-40-LAURA. Stay there.